Coffee with Coach Chris. Today I want to chat a little bit about kids MMA. What do I think about kids MMA? Well, I teach kids MMA programs at LPW, but I'm not so big on the competition element for a few reasons, and a lot of the time these events, these competitions, the promoters hire a venue and they put on a show and it's full of people drinking alcohol, often full of cocaine and whatnot. For me, I do not want my youngsters in that kind of an environment. I don't like that environment. And I saw once a young kid come in the ring and the cage pretend to shoot another kid, all the crowd's going wild, and I was like, nah, this isn't for me. For me, mixed martial arts, above and beyond, it's about respect. You have to respect not just your opponents but yourself, the way that you're acting. And I think that kids can be watching the theatrics of MMA, like the WWF, WWE kind of theatrics, and start to think that's good. And I think as parents and coaches, we have to make sure that they don't start acting like that, because in the real world, they're going to get in big trouble. So for me, I think, learn the sport of MMA. I like the idea of having smokers, like interclubs, where they get a chance to compete in MMA without the people full of alcohol and whatnot being there. You have a crowd, but not people full of drink and whatnot. I really like the idea of that. I think there has to be a certain way that the youngsters go on. They have to have respect for their opponents, shake hands before and after, for instance. I know that in judo, if you don't bow after, you'll get disqualified. In sambo, if you don't shake hands after, you get disqualified. And I really think getting good at the individual sports is a great idea for youngsters. Get out there and compete. I'm talking from a British point of view here. We have some fantastic sambo coaches. I love it when the youngsters go to sambo tournaments, as the kids there and the parents are like a rough and ready. Also, with judo and sambo, you don't know who they're going to go against. A lot of the time in sambo, they'll pull them up to the nearest weight and age. You can go against someone a lot more experienced. I know some parents obsessed in checking who's entered, saying a jiu-jitsu tournament or MMA, and they're checking records and who they train with and all this and that. I don't think that's so good, that win at all cost attitude. I don't think it's so good. I think you've got to just let them get out there and learn how to win and learn how to lose as gentlemen. I really feel that's essential. And with the sambo, there's sport and there's combat sambo. And the combat sambo is very similar to MMA, but they can go out and they can have many matches in one day. And again, they're going to be coming up against quality opposition. So I think get out there and compete judo sambo. Judo's massive in this country. There are lots of competitions. They're going to go against kids who's training seriously. We have a good Olympic pathway. And again, you're going to learn a lot of good morals from competing in judo. You'll never get a judoka trash talking, for instance. They have a way of going on. Judo, it's a way, it has a way, and there's a way to behave. And I think that way to behave is going to serve the youngsters in their life, not just competitively, but in their life, in business, education, home life and whatnot. I think that's essential. So train MMA, but be careful of that competition scene where they're going to be going into places full of slinks, drunk and high as a kite. That's not for me. I'm not into that. I'm not into kids giving it the big one with trash talk and all that nonsense. As they say in Portuguese, now I'm in your praia. It's not my beach. It's not my cup of tea as a coach. As a coach, I think I've got to lead the way that I think's right. And so you won't see our youngsters in those competitions that are full of drunken people. But, we are open to doing smokers and things like that, interclubs or whatever you want to call them. And I think there are some competitions what are in sports halls. I like the idea of that without alcohol. I think that's all well and good. I think competition's a great thing. It's not the be all and end all. And, another thing, don't be cutting weight and all of that nonsense. Leave that for the men. If you're cutting weight to win tournaments as a child, you're ruining your long-term potential. So as a coach, make sure that's not happening, because that's not good for the child. It's bad for the mental health as well as the long-term potential. So I think you have to be cautious with any combat sport. You have to be careful how the trainers are in gym, where they're doing headshots at a young age. They're getting concussions, because again, that's going to have a massive effect on the long-term potential. CTE is no joke. So you have got to look after your child. You know, if you find the right coach, I think that learning MMA is a great thing. Your children's going to be confident. They're going to gain in confidence. They're going to be able to look after themselves if they ever have to. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic sport, you know, but don't just mix the martial arts. Try to master them. Get out there, you know, learn your STX kickboxing, your Muay Thai, your Sambo, your Judo, your Jiu-Jitsu. All different forms. In England, we don't have a really high level of freestyle wrestling, but there are still some clubs. So for me, freestyle, again, it's not that great for MMA because of the rule set. You know, once they're on the ground, if nothing's happening instantly, the whistle and the stand them up. You know, if you look at recent years in UFC, we had Yoel Romero, an Olympic medalist, fantastic wrestler, fantastic fighter, but he started to turn into more of a striker in MMA because when he was taking people down, they were getting back up. So he stopped using his wrestling. And also, you know, Henry Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist, he was getting taken down, you know, in a match not long ago by a Georgian Sambo player, Merab, obviously a very good Sambo player, but he was getting taken down. For me, Sambo is the sport for MMA. You know, if you look at the guys, the great champions Sambo's produced, you know, like Fyodor Emelianenko, Khabib, Islam Makhachev. There's world-class combat Sambo men all around the world who could walk into MMA and do an amazing job. But, you know, they're happy training in Sambo. They don't have an ego. Just like back in the day, Stevenson, I think his name was Tefilio Stevenson. I may not be pronouncing it right. I think he won 3 Olympic gold medals for Cuba for heavyweight boxing. Don King offered him all types of money to fight Mike Tyson in the professional ring and to defect from Cuba. He was like, nah, I'm all right. You know, I love my sport. I'm a humble man. I don't need money. I don't need crazy amounts of money. He was very proud of where he lived, where he was from. And then when Mike Tyson went off the rails and started crashing his car and getting into fights and street fights, rapes, prison, this, that, and the other, treating women badly, he said, now can you see why I didn't want that American money? He was a man of value and a man of honor. And for me, you know, when I think about would I rather have a son that was like the great Tefilio Stevenson or Mike Tyson, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? You know, so let's absorb what's useful, disregard what's useless, and add what's specifically our own. As the great Bruce Lee said, you know, absorb the great parts of MMA. It's a tough sport. You know, those men are extremely fit. You can learn how to strike, how to take down, throw, how to fight on the ground, submissions, ground and pound, pins, reversals, escapes. You can learn the best of martial arts. On the flip side, you know, you can get your children involved in a sport where they're going to be in strange environments as a youngster, you know, around some unsavory people, high as a kite, screaming and shouting. If you're a protective parent, you're probably going to get into a fight yourself. You might get locked up. So you have to weigh things up, don't you? As I said, as a coach, you know, that's not the environment for my youngsters. I've trained youngsters who went out and won like the world's British Europeans in Jiu-Jitsu, nationals, many nationals in Sambo, Thai boxing, catch, many different combat sports. You know, I don't coach judo, but our youngsters go out and they train judo at a very good local club, and they go out there and they medal at national level as well. You know, so we're big on knuckling down and learning the grappling arts. And when you look at it, I think that multi-sports are essential for youngsters. And I think that's a good idea with the martial arts as well. Don't specialize too early. Don't focus on one thing. Get out there and enjoy yourself. You know, I hear of some parents who are paying like mad amounts of money for 3 or 4 strength and conditioning sessions a week for the children. For me, I think that's crazy. Obviously, they're passionate about the children, but they really don't need to be doing that. If you look at Uno, Olympic gold medalist, some say the greatest of all time in judo, he got very good at his technique, and at a later age he had his strength and conditioning. That's the Japanese way to get very good technically as youngsters, and then when they're seniors they do a lot of strength and conditioning and lots of randori, you know, live goes, live practices. They'll do like 14 7-minute rounds on a daily basis. You know, on the morning they'll be doing strength and conditioning, or they'll be doing grip work. So I think, yeah, you have to, you know, look at what works. Right now, I believe Owen Livesey's the best grappler we have in the UK, although he's now living and coaching in Thailand. What did he start off with? You know, judo and wrestling. He went on and won the Commonwealth Games in judo. He's done extremely well in professional jiu-jitsu, beat many UFC champions, became world catch wrestling champion, but his base is judo, and look at how he uses it for the no-gi scene. You know, people that have that level, that base, to get out there and they have exciting matches. For me, also, you know, be careful if you want your children to get involved in mixed martial arts and you're taking them to jiu-jitsu schools where they're spending a lot of time playing guard, where they're sitting on the back, because that's the worst place you could ever be in a fight. So get out there and do your research, you know, find out about the coaches, what are their experience, what's their ethos, what are their views, you know, on coaching, not only coaching adults, but children. Is it about win at all costs? Do they want your children to be cutting weight and are going to be checking who they're going against, this, that and the other? Or do they want to work on building good character and good solid foundations? Because me, as a coach, I'd rather create somebody that was a good person than a great champion with a terrible attitude. And that's my ethos. I've been in the martial arts for a long time. And I've made many mistakes, not just in martial arts, but in my life. And that's where I am now, as 47 years old. That's my ethos. You know, if you'd like your youngster to get involved with mixed martial arts here at LPW, feel free to get in touch. You know, if you're from another part of the country, you'll get in touch. I do know people around the country, and I also send my guys off to other people. You know, if I have a youngster who's really crazy about going into all those kind of events, or the parents are dead set on them getting into that kind of scene, although I don't think that is the best way, I'll put them in the direction of the best people I possibly can. So yeah, mixed martial arts can be a fantastic hobby for youngsters, and I think all youngsters should learn how to fight, and that's my take on it. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. Peace.